On today's video, a police officer in Port Charlotte, Florida is the victim of an ambush by a man with a questionable mental health background. A vehicle versus pedestrian accident shuts down US 41 in Sarasota. So the reason we're here today at the Manatee County Sheriff's Office is to try to obtain the footage for the first homeless person that was arrested in Manatee County since the implementation of the homeless law that took effect on October 1st. Now, we have been inside of this office 5 times already trying to obtain this footage. We're months into this process and this agency still has not given us the footage. Keep in mind that your law enforcement officers and other people like first responders on a daily basis have to run into accident scenes that most of us are spared from seeing. The goal of today's video is not to make a job that's already difficult enough even harder. We're just trying to get answers to things that are happening in our community. People who are homeless and vagrant are many times defenseless and are more prone to being victims of accidents like this. And while law enforcement officers have to take the brunt of handling these situations firsthand and seeing the aftermath of these situations, people who live on the streets are the ones who are actually being the victims of these tragedies. Let's see if we can once again come back to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office and try to understand why this is taking so long. Okay, I would like to speak to a Karen. Hello, Karen, how are you?
Okay.
I'm Jose Rodriguez from Southern Life YouTube channel. I'm here in reference to, I'll give you the number. This gentleman was the first homeless person arrested in Manatee County after that law.
Okay.
That was on 10/4. I didn't really worry at first because I figured maybe with the hurricane you guys didn't have power, but it's been, we're pushing.
We have a lot of requests right now.
For media purposes?
No, not just for media. We have overall just for.
I understand, but you know when it's for media purposes, you have to expedite it. There's accountability here.
Okay,
There's.
just one moment.
Yes, thank you so much. I look for. Yeah, thank you. All right, so I had to wait for quite a while. On today's video, I did not explain to them the main reason why this footage has to be expedited, because this is about my 5th visit with the Sheriff's Office about getting this footage. I'm pretty sure they understand by now, so in today's video, I'm not going to elaborate on that with them because they already know exactly what we're here for and why. When a new law effectively makes thousands of people instantly arrestable simply for not having a place to sleep, it prioritizes the footage because it's time sensitive. In real life, thousands of people are now arrestable in the state of Florida simply for being homeless. And that creates a situation where this footage has to be expedited because it's a new law that literally makes hundreds, if not thousands of people instantly arrestable. That is the reason why they have to expedite this, because it's a very time-sensitive situation. This isn't something they can backlog or sleep on. This is something they have to address immediately because, again, it instantly made that many people arrestable on the spot. It's very time-sensitive. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I think we saw each other last time I was here.
Yes, we did.
I'm back again. You asked, I called the numbers, got no answers, sent emails, got no replies, so. What's really going on? I mean, you know, last time I came here, I told you it was for news purposes. Is that a problem?
No, so like I said, we do it in order of what it was received, or what it was
For news
paid.
purposes?
Huh?
For news purposes?
That's the way that it works, is everybody's put in.
No, the way it works is when the people want accountability on something that affects people in the community, it comes out right away. Like, there was an accident in Port Charlotte yesterday where a police officer was killed. We're gonna see that video in the next few days on the news because it's for news purposes, right? We're not gonna see that 3 months or 4 months from now. So
This is our procedure based on Florida state statute that our legal department helped us develop.
why are you guys stalling this out? Do you guys not want people, why are you guys stalling this out needlessly?
We're not holding anything back. The thing is that, as I think you've seen,
You know, it's not, I'm not just requesting this family, it's for news purposes.
okay, I understand that, that's our procedure.
So your procedure is to stall out information when it's for news
Our
purposes?
procedure is to go in order of what was paid.
When it's for news purposes, you have to get it out. We want accountability. This law took effect October
Based on
1st.
State statute and based on our
I know you can
procedure.
stall it out because it's state statutes, but then you go on news and say
We're not
in
stalling
Manatee,
anything out. We're going in order of what was paid.
in Manatee County, when we see these news presses, we hear everything's about accountability. Everything's about accountability. We want to do everything with accountability. So this law took effect October 1st. Why it's almost Christmas, we still can't see this. I don't know what the statute is. This is a stalling question. I'm not going to answer it. We already talked about this last time we were here. It's not definite. I know the statute's not definite. But when it's for news purposes, law enforcement agencies expedite the process because of accountability.
Okay, so
I know what the statute says. I've studied it.
what is the statute so that I can
I'm not doing this. This is exactly what we did last time we visited her, not that long ago.
give it to our legal department and he can look into it?
Why are you guys playing games with me?
I'm not playing a game with you, sir. Our procedure is based on Florida state statute. Our legal department, when this was brought to him, he has not heard of this statute before. If you have the statute, I can provide
Why are you
it
playing?
to him. I am not
When
playing
something
a game with
happens,
you,
when
sir.
something happens,
I
and
am
the
telling you
community
what our
wants
procedure
accountability.
is. If
See,
you would like to file a complaint, you can.
I'm gonna file a lawsuit. So the only reason I haven't released the footage of every time I've came into your office, if this transgresses into a legal issue in the future, having something like this on the internet makes it more complicated. So
Very much.
the only reason I haven't released the footage, these footages that I've been recording this is the 5th time I come here. Every time I come here, I record. The only reason I haven't released the footage of the process that you guys were stalling me out is because I'm afraid that when I go to sue you over the situation, for media purposes, are going to get in the way of the legal situation because you guys have turned a simple request for footage into a legal issue.
So, like I said, that is the procedure that we have. Our procedure is based on the statute. We are not doing anything any different to you than we would to anybody else.
No, because when Wink News and NBC2 come in here and they request footage for something that's related to media, we don't get that 4 months later. We get that right away. So what difference is there between those agencies and me?
There is no difference.
There is a difference because when they request footage, they get it. Why am I not getting it?
If that's how you feel, you can file a complaint. I'm telling you what our procedure is. I'm telling you the way that it works. If that is how you feel, you can file a complaint.
I'm gonna file a lawsuit.
That's perfectly fine. You can do that. That's within your right.
Why? See, your agency has a reputation of dealing with the homeless population with lack of due process. So we as a community want accountability. The law came in October 1st. You've arrested somebody after the law. We want accountability because your agency, when you understand, you have the reputation of dealing with people who are indigent with lack of due process. So now we want accountability from you. And if your hands are clean, there's no reason for you to delay this. The only reason.
I'm not delaying it. I told you what the procedure is. That is not a delay. That is us working through our procedure.
So let me ask you this: when Wink News requested the commissioner that was driving drunk, did they have to wait 4 months for it?
That has nothing to do with me. I'm telling you what the procedure is.
When the new Wink News and NBC2, when those people come in here and they request the same type of footage,
I did not.
they
deal
get that
with
they get that in a week.
request. I didn't deal with that request. I'm telling you what our procedure is.
Who is the director here or whoever? I want to file. My lawyer told me to file a formal complaint with you guys.
It would be
I would
with
prefer
our
for it to be written. It has to be written, but I want to file a written complaint because I have to give you guys legal notice before I sue you.
You can absolutely do that. You would go speak with the deputies over there. They'll get you in contact with our professional standards.
I don't understand if this is a matter of public safety and accountability because we're afraid that you guys are acting outside of due process with handling the situation, why you wouldn't get this out there to clear your name about it.
Because we do it in per our procedure.
Do you do this with NBC too? Do you do this with Wink News?
We do it with everybody because that's the procedure.
So when we see a police arrest or something that's newsworthy on the news, you're telling me that they don't get it in 5 days?
I'm telling you what our procedure is.
Why isn't the procedure applied to them?
It
Whose
does
palms am I not
apply
greasing?
to everybody. Once
Whose
again,
palms am I not greasing? Why do they get it in 5 days? Why are you making this a 2-month delay?
That's not how it works.
That's
I'm
what you're
not
telling me it
making
works.
anything.
That's how you're telling me it works.
I'm not. I'm telling you what our procedure is. If you would like
That's
to
your
file-
procedure for for media,
That is our procedure.
for news purposes.
That is our procedure.
So how do people get this stuff in 5 days?
I don't know.
You do know. You work here.
I do not know because I know what our procedure is. You've spoken to Ashley as well, I believe.
I've been here 5 times. This is my 5th time here.
Okay. Ashley is the one over our public records unit who deals with the body worn camera. We have spoken with our legal department. As far as I know, there is not a statute. If you have the statute actual number, I would be happy to look into it. But I I do not.
All right, so background details that if you're watching this, you may not know. She's asking me for a statue. Last time we visited her, the same girl, we talked about the statue. I explained it to them thoroughly. We went over. So she's asking me to explain something to her that we spent 30 minutes talking about last time I was here. I'm not doing it again. So basically, she's asking me questions that I've already answered for her last time I was here. So they're playing a game, and I'm not buying into their game. So
I have that, and you saying that there is a statue does not mean that I don't know.
here's what I suspect that this individual was told by you guys that the reason he was being arrested was because of the new law. But then the charges that were filed against him weren't that, and he was never notified of the charges that he was actually arrested for.
Okay.
And that's why you guys are trying to cover it up.
I am not a deputy, and I am not trying to cover anything up. I personally am trying to go based on the procedure that we have.
So you're telling me that in Manatee County, Florida, I got you. I know I got you, and I got a life too, so I gotta get going. But I gotta go play golf with some lords later. But the issue is this, ma'am. If in fact that is your procedure, then how do the news agencies get body cam footage 5 days later?
That's a good question. This is the procedure.
Who do we ask that question to? If it's a good question, who do we ask that question to then?
I'm telling you what the procedure
You're the
is.
person answering the question.
If you would like to speak to higher than me, they're not here today, I'd be happy to give you.
This is my 5th time here. You're telling me that when there's a newsworthy situation in Manatee County, Florida, it takes months to get it?
I am telling you that that's what our procedure is.
So your procedure is when somebody asks for immediate accountability for somebody who is indigent in your system, locked up in your system indigently, and we want accountability, your procedure is that it takes months
Our procedure
to get accountability
is that
for
we
news
go
purposes?
in order of when it was paid.
So how does the news get these things right away?
We go in order of when it was paid. If you would like to speak to our
When it is,
the public information officer, I can give you his information. If you would like to
I've-
speak to internal affairs,
let me talk to internal affairs. Good, let me talk to somebody from internal affairs, please.
it will be right.
Can you notify them that I'll be there? Notify them. I know, but can you notify them that I'll be there? Please? Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. All right, so now when I go to the other side, you'll see how the other girl that was in the background lies to them, right? So they're deceiving me. They tell me you got to go to the other counter. When I go to the other counter, you'll see how deceitful and dismissive they are on the other side. So it was just a way of them getting me out of there. So. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Okay, guys, so now we're going to talk to internal affairs. Not sure what this is going to resolve. This is just probably run around, but they don't want to do it. Hello.
How you doing?
Good. I was just next door at Records. They're going to have somebody from internal affairs meet me.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's your name, sir?
Jose Rodriguez. Would you like my license? Okay.
They may not be here.
Okay, I appreciate your help.
They're not here.
Okay. Is there somebody as far as, let's say a director or somebody just a little bit above courts? Because my issue is just dealing with records.
Above record. They
With
have their own
record.
supervisors.
Yeah, we've been there. This is my 5th visit, so it's just starting to get a little aggravating.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I can suggest is either calling.
Yeah, I'm here in person. I've been on the phone quite a bit and emails. It really hasn't led to.
Come back tomorrow before 5 o'clock.
Well, I'm here today before 5 o'clock, right?
Okay, well, I just said that I is not here.
Okay, do you have somebody else I can speak to?
No, not right now. Not above them. They have, if you want someone above their supervisors, they're just not here right now.
Come between 8 and 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Just give me a moment. Let me think for a minute. I mean, so basically what I'm trying to do is there's footage that Records has. I'm requesting it for news purposes, but they're telling me they're backlogging me just like everybody else, and it's an issue of due process and accountability that for its newsworthiness should have been received expediently because it's for news purposes, and we still aren't obtaining it.
I give you our legal department's information.
Yeah, because I think at this point, it's gonna be where I'm gonna have to notify you guys of a lawsuit.
Well, we can have this conversation. I'll give you our legal.
Yeah, let me get some information for the legal department, because I think at this point, I mean, it's basically when there's a newsworthy thing, we see it on the news 5 or 6 days later. We don't see it 3 months later, and so when something happens, yeah, if it's for newsworthy purposes, if it's for news. So you're telling me that when something happens that's newsworthy, we watch the news 4 months behind?
Here you go.
That doesn't make
This
sense.
is for legal. You can give them a call and speak to them, okay?
Thank you, guys. Have been very unhelpful. Have a beautiful day. Rusher, and they don't want to give it. So now we're getting their legal department's business card. So the situation here with Manatee County Sheriff's Office is that they are refusing to give us this footage, along with many other agencies in Florida, are arresting the homeless simply for sleeping. At least that's the way the law is written. Now, they're not actually arresting people under these charges, however. What they're actually doing is that they're telling the people they're being arrested for the law, but then they give them other charges that are not the charges the way they were told, because these agencies are actually afraid of being sued over this law. So now the question is, why it has taken so long for them to produce this footage when they know it's for news purposes. Obviously, they are treating their preferred news agencies with favoritism, but when somebody actually asks for accountability, then this doesn't exist. So this is what I want you guys to know, that we're being told that these types of matters are held with accountability, right? Every news agency in Florida, every sheriff's office in Florida, when they go on these press conferences, they get there with a tie and suit and say, well, we're working with due process and accountability. But when you actually request accountability for their behavior, that doesn't really exist. It might exist for a few hand-selected news agencies that have connections with the sheriff's office, and they hand-select what they give them. But when you actually find misappropriation and you actually ask for accountability, that accountability doesn't exist. These law enforcement agencies want the perceived notion of accountability. However, in reality, what's actually happening is the following. We're requesting that they show us this footage. The law took effect October 1st. They've arrested people since October 1st. And here we are months later, and we still don't have this footage. As we've seen, we've been here a multitude of times, and their answer is to continue coming back. Now, she's telling me, once again, that she's not aware of the statutes. Last time we were here, we talked about the specific statutes. In other words, they're trying to give us the turnaround, the runaround, beating around the bush and never getting to the point. The state of Florida statute doesn't specifically mention a specific time frame, that if you make this type of request, you would receive it within a very reasonable time frame. We're gonna go ahead and leave, since it looks like they're making noise on purpose. They are actually making noise with their vehicles to prevent us from getting our video in front of their office. This is Officer Elio Diaz. He is a Cuban-American police officer in Port Charlotte, Florida. He leaves behind a wife and 4 children. He made a routine traffic stop at 4 p.m. at this Chevron gas station in Port Charlotte, Florida, across from the Sunseekers Resort. The individual inside, it wasn't his first time on national news. He had already gone on a wild manhunt because of a disappearance in other states, and the vehicle that he used in this incident, an older F-150, had already been on national news previously during his manhunt. This was the same exact vehicle, aka AJ, was in when he decided with an arm to dismiss a police officer who was just doing a routine stop. This led to a massive manhunt in the county that led to disrupting the commute of thousands of people in Southwest Florida. His final game of hide and seek with law enforcement came to an end at this Popeyes near Interstate 75 in Port Charlotte. Police officers here at this Popeyes made the one most difficult decision that any police officer will ever have to make in his lifetime, ending the situation and getting retaliation for their lost brother. Because it was a Hispanic police officer killed by a white person, the community response to this man's tragedy has been pathetic and embarrassing at best. The response to his GoFundMe has been pathetic. It is at 4%, and not a single Hispanic person has given $1. Not only is the community not showing any sympathy for the loss of this officer because he is Hispanic, but people are actually going out there and standing up for the cop killer. Fox News went as far as calling him a suspect and getting an interview with his mother, who claims that she was aware he had mental illnesses. Yet it's interesting, despite the fact that everybody was aware he had mental illness, nobody did anything about all the weapons he was posting on social media. But that's just my personal opinion. This isn't the first time that this area ends up on national news for a homicide. If you guys remember Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, this is also here in this area. We're talking about a metropolitan area that used to be considered the safest in the United States many years ago, but today has become infamous for high-profile homicides. Touches of racial tension and rumors of corruption. People are really starting to question how safe this area really is. 12/17/2024, across from the hospital on US 41 in South Sarasota, there was an incident where a pedestrian was struck by a vehicle. When these types of incidents happen, law enforcement and first responders are the ones that have to show up and see these sites firsthand. Just keep in mind when dealing with law enforcement and first responders that their day may not have been as easy as yours. So be kind and considerate to these people who take on some of the most difficult jobs that exist in our society. Sadly, even when our officers lose their lives in the line of duty, they give us the ultimate sacrifice. We don't know why this officer pulled this person over. Perhaps they were driving erratically. Perhaps they were doing something dangerous. He was trying to keep us in society safe. Instead of news agencies getting word out about the officer's GoFundMe, they're out there pushing racial narratives. Take Fox News, calling him a suspect instead of a cop killer. There were even people on social media trying to adopt the killer's dogs, yet no word has been mentioned about the officer's daughters. And their GoFundMe, nobody seems interested in that. When people are more interested in rescuing or adopting the killer's dog than they are in supporting the GoFundMe for the officer's family, it just gives you an idea how bad racial tensions are in the United States, where people don't want the news based on what happened. They want the news based on the political narrative that they want you to believe, the political agendas. And these news agencies cater to those racial sentiments. But when someone like myself goes out there and tries to get real stories that don't correlate with a political agenda that's being pushed, we get a wall from people behind a desk. Not only do these police officers have to do some of the most difficult jobs in our society, but they also know things that are happening in our community that most of us can't even imagine. And sadly, they have to shut their mouths because after all, they're just doing their jobs